Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb, huh?
This is Tekashi 6ix9ine, aka Daniel Hernandez. 6ix9ine is undoubtedly one of the most controversial artists in recent hip-hop history. His aggressive rapping style, provocative public persona, distinctive rainbow-colored hair, extensive tattoos, and of course, very public legal troubles have shot him into remarkable celebrity status within the past few years. There are a lot of artists in the hip-hop community that despite what you think of their music, you can't help but love them. Kid Cudi, Lil Yachty, and Post Malone, to name a few. However, 6ix9ine is one of those rappers that seems to be a magnet to hate and unlikability. Why doesn't he just listen to the criticism and change for the better? How can he tout such arrogance and cockiness without feeling remorse? And what is the psychology behind Tekashi 6ix9ine's personality that makes him such an addicting figure to hate watch? To answer these questions, we have to understand what it even means to be a likable person in the first place. That's where the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, comes into the picture. Normally, these two would never have any relation to one another, but luckily, that's what our channel is here for. Today, we make the connection between Tekashi 6ix9ine and how not to win friends and influence people. Welcome to Icons and Ideas, where we talk about thought-provoking ideas and make connections to prominent icons in hip-hop, pop culture, and throughout history. Let's begin. The book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was written by Dale Carnegie in 1936 and has sold over 30 million copies worldwide. To keep the summary quick, it's essentially a self-help book for those who want to improve their communication skills and become social, charismatic individuals. If you want to check out the book after this video, the link is in the description. Now, on to 6ix9ine. For those who don't know, 6ix9ine is a 24-year-old rapper born in Brooklyn, New York, who became widely known in late 2017 after the release of his debut single, 𝐦𝐤𝐤. The combination of his aggressive rapping and violent depiction of his gang lifestyle in the music video led to 6ix9ine quickly rising to fame amongst the other rappers in the infamous SoundCloud rapper era. But you're probably wondering, what exactly does 6ix9ine have to do with the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? Well, nothing. Absolutely nothing. He seemingly breaks every principle in the book about being a good-natured individual that communicates effectively. To elaborate on the disconnect between the two, we'll break down and summarize the book into 4 main parts. Then we'll identify the divide between the principles in the book and 6ix9ine's actions and public persona. The goal of this video is to hopefully give you an interesting insight into the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and have a discussion about the psychology of what makes 6ix9ine the infamous, controversial figure he is. Part 1. How to approach people. When approaching someone for a favor, don't think about what you want, think about what they could get out of the deal. For example, when you're fishing, you don't think about the foods that you like to eat to catch the fish, you think about the foods that the fish like to eat. The key is to put yourself in the other person's shoes, then align what they want with what you want, so that you'll both benefit from the exchange. What do they like? What do they want? Make them excited to work with you. Part 2. Ways to make people like you. A lot of us walk around every day subconsciously thinking we're the only ones that exist. We're the star and everyone else in our life is just a co-star. The truth is, every single person you walk past and interact with throughout the day has their own thoughts and busy, complicated lives to live, just like you. If you want people to like you, get to genuinely know them. When you both open up to each other, you make each other feel important. You could also both end up learning valuable lessons from each other regarding how to approach certain problems or even just learn to see things from a different perspective. This leads to deeper connections with each other and overall a happier life. Part 3. Admitting when you're wrong. When you're in a situation where you've made an honest mistake, the best thing to do is own up to it and admit you're wrong. For example, say you're a cashier and accidentally gave out too much change throughout the day and ended up $20 short at the end of your shift. Before the manager has to confront you, approach them yourself and apologize and let them know that you won't make that mistake again and will do whatever it takes to make up for it. The manager is more likely to tone down the severity of the situation since they can see how apologetic you are, versus the manager confronting you first and yelling at you about being careless and threatening to fire you from your job. Part 4. How to criticize people without being offensive. If you want to influence someone into changing their habits for the better, approach the situation with empathy. Instead of yelling at them about how reckless they are for participating in bad habits, talk about how you've made a similar mistake and how you wish you could have done something differently yourself. Always talk about your own mistakes first. Now that we have a basic understanding of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, let's discuss 3 elements about 6ix9ine's approach that shows how not to win friends and influence people. Number 1, 6ix9ine purposely alienates himself from the hip-hop community. He came into the game disrespecting OG rappers that paved the way for him, such as 50 Cent and T.I., as well as insulting fellow artists such as Trippie Redd, Lil Reese, Lil Durk, and not to mention their dead relatives. While many hip-hop fans can see past his antics and don't support him, what is it about 6ix9ine that makes it so hard for many of us to stop watching? Number 2, 6ix9ine defies societal boundaries even when confronted. An example of this would be his passionate use of the N-word. 6ix9ine is half Mexican and half Puerto Rican. Many believe, as a non-black person of color, 6ix9ine shouldn't be using the word. Others argue that since he was born and raised in Brooklyn, many other non-black people also use the word frequently, with no problems from the black people around them. However, there was an artist who went through a similar situation and understood and grew from it, Nav. When Indian-American rapper Nav rose to fame in 2016, he would frequently use the N-word in his songs. But as he got more popular and was confronted about it, he understood others' perspective and decided to stop using the word in his music from then on. Why doesn't 6ix9ine also listen to the valid criticism and make the change? Number 3, the hypocritical nature of 6ix9ine's lifestyle. During his rise, 6ix9ine portrayed and promoted a certain lifestyle, but during his very public federal hearings, we later find out he didn't have the affiliation with the Blood Gang we were led to believe in his songs and social media. In court, he betrayed his fellow 9 Trey members despite previously antagonizing snitches in his music. His former associates allegedly stole money from him while he was in prison, but isn't it still part of the code to never snitch? Why does he arrogantly return to the same antics when he was released from prison despite being exposed in front of the world? Is it the hip-hop community's responsibility to hold 6ix9ine accountable? These are all questions that we don't personally have the answer to, but would like to know your opinion on. Do you support what 6ix9ine is doing? In summary, we discussed the 4 main principles from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The 4 principles are: Number 1, how to approach people. Number 2, how to make people like you. Number 3, how to admit when you're wrong. And number 4, how to criticize people without being offensive. Then, we broke down 3 of the main issues that many people have with 6ix9ine. Number 1, his purposeful alienation of the community that influenced him. Number 2, his disobedience of societal boundaries. And number 3, his hypocritical portrayal of a violent lifestyle and arrogance about it all. In any normal video essay YouTube channel, 6ix9ine and the book How to Win Friends and Influence People would never have any connection, but we tried our best when producing this video. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching this episode on icons and ideas. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And feel free to leave suggestions for future videos down in the comments. We also make merchandise for each video. If you like the designs, it's a great way to help support the channel. Thank you.